Alright, welcome to Record of Gaia Group 1, Session 3. We'll get started with the jams, and then we'll get a recap in this place, and then we will get to moving and grooving. Here we go. Alright, everybody. Now that that's going, we'll have Jarek give us a recap. Floor is yours.
After a restful night recovering from an ambush, our quintet awoke to a quiet forest. As breakfast was poorly made, several of the party members explore new abilities, and a sixth member joins, a small moth assisting Rel in the discovery of her powers. The group sets off towards Eldoria, discovering the small city located in the middle of a magical desert, the area ravaged by vicious windstorms, the city itself protected by a swirling shield of energy, with those unlucky enough to be outside taking shelter in small reinforced tents at the edge of the barrier. Barely beating the next storm, the group was introduced to Wintermoon, the leader of the shanty town outside the dome, and upon promise of payment and a favor, the group, minus Domas, were able to re-establish connections between the dome and the tents by clearing out the undead roaming the tunnels that linked the two populations. As the group returned to the tent, they discovered that Domas was nowhere to be found, and more mysterious, no one seemed to recall his arrival with the group. The party fell asleep with more questions than answers, hoping that the Eldoria will provide some clarity to whom or what brought them together.
All right. You guys, for the remainder of the evening last night, found your respective sleeping quarters and places, and you got yourself a long rest. I'm going to move you guys over to the outskirts of Eldoria map, right here. Or Knuckle is not around. He's napping somewhere, too.
Punk ass.
Mothy McMothface is also with you too. But yes,
Yay.
so you guys get a long rest. You get all the benefits of that, HP back, spell slots, all the stuff that comes with that. You guys awake this morning to the sounds of 20, 30 people still kind of left remaining in the facility. And as you look, the big leather coverings over the door have been pulled aside and pulled open, and you can see that the storm on the outside has kind of tempered down into just a very mild breeze of dust and sand everywhere. But the dome around the city is still in place. What would you like to do?
Jarek will get up and make some breakfast for everyone.
All right, give me that breakfast roll.
Yes.
Breakfast!
Roll me that
Breakfast roll.
big bacon.
Oh.
2 in a row. This is
Oh.
awesome. All right, so
Oh.
everyone gets a +2 to their temp HP.
You know what? That's more than I had before.
It's true. You had 0 before, now you have 2.
Correct. Math. Dun dun.
All right, so Jarek's making breakfast to feed the group as they all kind of awaken. And what about the rest of you? What's your morning wake-ups looking like?
There was a couple things I actually wanted to do before we headed off, just
Yeah,
because
for
I was.
sure.
But as Rel is waking up, the first thing she does is, again, she does her like kind of morning routine, and she's walking on the earth and the ground, and if anyone's paying attention, which I doubt they are, they're going to notice that the black that was on the sole of her feet has kind of crept up to her toes a little bit. And
Oh.
as she is walking, when she lifts the heel of her foot, there's some ichor just dripping off of her foot and kind of like sucks back up into her foot. Like it's like kind of like sticking to the ground and then like sucking back in. So she's like doing that, and she's gonna go through her mother's journals again and also do a little bit of journaling herself. Because there's just a bunch of the stuff with the Domas thing that didn't sit quite right, and she just wanted to get all of that down. So she's gonna, you know, do that. She's got her own journal and her mother's journal, so she'll do that, and then I'll let other people do stuff, and then I'll come back to other things.
All right, cool.
Now that the sky has cleared, Tristan would be trying to find somewhere with a little more high ground to get a better vantage point of everything that he can see.
Yeah.
Just to try to give himself
Yeah.
small advantage on what they're going to be walking into in terms of terrain, at least.
Yeah, the terrain kind of looks like what it looks like on this image. There are some really tall mountains on like the far side. It looks like the city itself is backed into a mountain. The whole city is not encompassed by it, but it looks like a solid portion of the back of the city is up against a mountain. So that side you can't enter from, with at least traveling through a mountain. But the dome still being there, there are hills and rocks of different heights from ankle height all the way to mountains that are thousands of feet tall. So you can find whatever level you're looking for. You can definitely give me a perception or survival at advantage from that point, since you will be finding yourself an appropriately high spot.
Said with advantage.
Yeah. So, yeah. You see that looking around you, I mean, it's better than that one. You see it's a very mountainous and arid area where you are right now. You kind of look back where you came from, and you can see the forests, and past that, way further than distance, you can see the forest kind of clear a little bit to more of like open rolling hills. Looking further in the direction that you walked to get to the outskirts of Eldoria, you can kind of see through some of the mountains, and way off in the distance, you can see that there are more open plains, and then there's what looks like darkness past that. You don't know if that's just darkness because of deep forested areas, different colored landscape, or ocean way off as far as you can see, but basically fades into just a mesh of color altogether at the end there.
Dope.
But it does not look like from this vantage point that there is any other way into Eldoria other than the ways that were described to you in your conversation with Winter Moon yesterday.
Is this the only settlement that I can see?
Yes. So you see, like, there's some tents here and there within eyeshot, but you assume they're very likely other people who probably live in Eldoria but are staying on the outskirts, kind of how this little mini settlement has like 10 or 15 tents plus the big one that you guys are in. You see a couple more just kind of spatchcocked around. That's not the right word. Spotted around the the outskirts of Eldoria.
Cool.
Such a good word, though.
I know, it's the word that just came out, so it's the word that it was what it was.
I'm sorry. What exactly is going on in this
Tents are
area?
split and twine.
What do you mean the spine
It's
of the
flattened,
tent
oh
has been
shit.
cut out?
It's a very
maybe that's the moth's name, Spatchcock the moth.
That's fucking brilliant.
Very hippie hills.
No, no, no. If anything, the moth has to be named like Blood Eagle or something.
No, it's not your moth.
It's true. You can change his name every day. It's a moth. Do you want it to be Spatchcock McMothface today?
Yes. Let's make him Spatchcock McMothface.
I am so happy. That's incredible.
Actually, Spatchcock Von Mothface.
Yes.
God.
Upon the dawn of a new day, Mothy McMothface tries to fly away.
Oh, wait,
and
that's
the
not the right
smoke
word. Whoops.
explodes, and a new moth is born. From the
Whoopsies.
feathers.
That's the backwards way. Whoopsies.
Oh no.
I think it was better the other way.
Longest name ever, and it's your familiar.
And it's the smallest familiar possible.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It's moth.
Oh, I went behind. No.
Oh, I would not want that like landing on my shoulder.
Oh, God.
I love it. I love it.
Bringing it back. Bringing it back. Bringing it back.
Okay, so here's what Bean is doing. I think Bean might actually ask Ro. She's gonna say, I'm gonna go on a walk. Can I take Spatchcock Von Mothface with me?
I look at Spatchcock. I look at Ick. I look at Spatchcock again. And I say, as long as you take care of him, then that's fine. And I shoo them off.
So Bean puts the moth on her head and is talking to it. And Bean trots around. You said there's about 30 people left?
Yeah.
Okay. Bean is just going to trot around talking to people, just, finding out what they're doing, looking at children and asking weird questions about children. And they will do that until they see that Jarek is done cooking. Then they will trot back over with Moth still on head and sit down and have food, but this is probably a thing that has been going on for a while. Bean definitely likes contact, so she's leaning against Jarek, and she's got out the cards that they drew the night before, all the monsters that they've killed so far, and she's just going through them one by one as she's eating and telling the aunties. Just giving the aunties a rundown of what they did yesterday.
Fair. Alright. Your passive intimidation is 14. The children are pretty scared of this bright green person with a moth running around. Granted, you're not trying to be scary, but it's inherently not always the prettiest sight of just a scary little bright green verdant person with a scary moth on their head coming up and trying to talk to them. The adults aren't afraid, though. They're just like, yeah, whatever. It's harmless. But most people are just talking about kind of the storm, how they have to go and dig out their abodes to get back into their houses and stuff. Everything's kind of been locked down. And how you kind of hear in passing how people talking about what you guys accomplished yesterday in making the tunnels traversable again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more so people are appreciative that they can now get back to work and actually head back into the city and back out as long as Winter Moon allows it.
If anybody asks for details or, what happened down there, Bean will very happily do some dramatic reenactments.
Okay.
That are kind of like, and then Jarek did this, and then the monster did this, that kind of thing. When somebody says digging out their homes, Ick would like to ask, do you mean other tents around here, or do you live somewhere else around here?
One person looks over and goes, "Oh, more so like tents and shacks that we build up. Every time the storm's been passing through, it just kind of buries it a little bit, and we unbury it, then the storm comes back and it gets reburied again. It's more of just a constant cycle of it, so kind
So
of
why
is
do you stay here?
because it's better than in the city.
Well, why you could go somewhere else, though.
This is my home, my homeland.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. But you would like to go back in the city if you could?
You see them kind of hesitate for a moment, almost kind of thinking to themselves, and go, maybe.
You must really like sand.
Why don't you want to go back into the city? Jarek's like cooking and just sort of like overhears it and like doesn't really get up from cooking because he's already plenty distracted and it's turning very poorly.
It's you see at that point when they're deciding the next words to choose, that Winter Moon glances over at them and kind of gives them a long, hard stare.
Does Ick see this?
Anybody that's paying attention to the person that you're speaking with could kind of feel the hesitation. And then, I mean, Winter Moon's not hiding it. She is
Right.
She is all powerful in this area out here. She is the leader. So it's not shocking that her throwing a glance at somebody would make them take pause on their responses. And they kind of stop and hesitate for a little longer and say, it's different from how it used to be, which I assume is what happens with the evolution of all communities. So maybe one day, but it's different. That's all.
Do all communities get magic domes over them?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh. Wow, I did not know that. I have not seen that in any books at all, or any dreams or anything.
Then maybe this place is just special. I don't know. But what I do know is my oats are getting cold, so I'm going to go back to them now. And they turn back to their breakfast.
Yes, the oats.
They're
Ick
very
is
clearly
just-
not eating oats, but you know, it's the only
Ick
thing.
is just staring fixedly at Winter Moon now.
Jarek doesn't notice the
Not blinking.
intimidating look and pause.
She's just staring back at you, as if waiting for something.
Why not?
Why not what?
Why don't you? Too wise. Why did you look mean at them? And why don't you want to go back in? I mean, why wouldn't you want to go back in if you could?
We can. Why would I? This is where I do my best work.
So there are
Insight
people in
check.
there?
In the city? Yeah. You heard two of them.
Yeah.
It's a whole community, but this is where I call home outside, so you know. Feel free to go in. I still owe you that one favor.
Well, but it's not our favor to go in,
No,
right?
correct.
So why did you give a mean look? What was that?
I don't believe that's any of your business, child.
That's probably true. I still wonder though.
She pushes her cool ass glasses even further down her nose and says, maybe one day when you're older I'll tell you.
How old do you think I am?
Not old enough to understand.
Huh. I probably don't understand, but I don't think that's because of how old I am.
Hmm. Either way, I have business. And she pushes her glasses up and then goes back to what looks to be just like reading a book of some sort or a journal or something in the shape of a book, a ledger maybe. So.
Going to read the book with her cool ass glasses.
They really are cool ass glasses.
Yeah, she's
I
punk
mean,
rock.
look at them. Look how cool they are.
No, she's punk rock.
Tristan would walk back down from his little vantage point and would ask the group if we're ready to continue on into the city.
In a minute. Yeah, in a few minutes. While all of that was going on, I actually did want to, like, do the like kind of courtly thing where I assist everybody with, like, everybody's eating their food, so I kind of wanted to make sure everybody was served, and I'm gonna help clean up and all, just like kind of.
You can't get
But
away from your job.
no,
Got
but
it.
while I'm doing that, I'm listening in on conversations and trying to see if there's anything of interest.
Go ahead and what's your insight? It is +4. So
Plus four.
we'll do a passive insight of 14. So
Okay.
that's way it's not like you're actively just like staring at people and trying to read their lips and be
Yeah.
obvious about it. So this is just kind of you're overhearing as you're passing through. Um, you hear some just normal morning chatter, people kind of talking about
Mhm.
their plans for the day, kind of what they're going to have to do as far as cleaning and getting their stuff back in order after the storm, and how that storm was a little more intense than other ones have been lately.
Mhm.
Then you hear a couple other people mentioning how they haven't seen um, a couple of their friends in a few days, and last they heard, they tried to walk through the dome without the permission or assistance of Warren Knackle, the little gnome wizard, or Winter Moon, and they haven't seen them, so they fear them dead or stuck alive in the dome somewhere, or maybe they got into the city and haven't returned. They haven't seen hide nor hair of them.
Okay.
And then there, you just catch a brief portion of it as they are kind of leaving to go on their way, but you hear somebody kind of mention, the town's not what it used to be. I don't know if I'm gonna go back or just move on. And this is a different person from who the two of them were speaking with. So, and this person says that as they mention that, and you see them complete their walk out of the tent region off to wherever it is that they are going. So.
Okay. Um, the other thing I wanted to do, besides collect a little bit of that sand
Mhm.
from the storm, I wanted to talk to Winter Moon and ask her and her little wizard buddy, um, when people get lost in the storm, someone had actually mentioned something about getting forgotten, when I was looking outside. Can, does that happen where, like, people get erased from existence? Like, do people not remember people getting lost?
Um, Winter kind of looks at her little gnome friend, not quite clear on what you're asking. You can see that she's kind of like pondering it and kind of trying to figure out if you mean. I think I know what you're talking about, but she's trying to determine if you are referring to death and people forgetting someone after they die or get lost or disappear forever, just the natural process of, not being here anymore, or if you're talking about something more akin to fully erased and memories changed. And then as Warren is kind of listening and talking with Winter a little bit, she kind of whispers into his ear some, and he kind of nods like, no, maybe. Um, and then he looks up at you and goes, well, I don't know. I've not heard of people going in the storm and losing their existence and being forgotten short of dying. There are magical spells that you can change people's memory, you can modify them. But to cast that on such a large grouping of people, to do a permanent erasure would be something that I don't even know is possible to do all at once. You could certainly complete that task, but it would take a very long time and repeat castings of the spell, and very likely multiple high. It would take very. It would take a lot of wizards or sorcerers or arcane practitioners who have lifetimes of experience to pull something like that off. And again, I guess anything with magic is possible, but I don't. I've not heard of that. It's just theory crafting at this point, I guess.
No,
Why? Have you heard
I
something?
no. It was just I think the way that the subject was broached to me when I was looking outside. It was just the demeanor, like someone had just said, people get lost and forgotten, and then we have this situation where we came with another party member, and for some reason, no one can remember him. And I was just trying to, you know, maybe see if that was the cause. It could be just we all took some magic mushrooms and hallucinated him. Who knows?
I don't know what to tell you. There was only the four of you when you came, so
Okay.
I don't know. And now you have this moth, so you know.
Oh,
But yeah,
absolutely.
the moth's cute,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah, spatchcock. And I let them spatchcock flutter over and you know
Mm,
greet her and flutter his little antennae at her.
solid. All right. Well, I don't know if you four, five, Spatchcock. Nice to meet you, moth. I don't know if you're planning on going into the city or what your plan is, but the tunnels are open to you, so feel free. Or go out into the desert. Mm, never cash in that favor. That's up to you. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And I just kind of walk away and get ready to pack up my gear.
All right. Anybody else have any morning things they wish to accomplish?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right. Well, what is?
Actually, would there be any? Um, it could be like in the morning of either. Well, yeah, probably this morning. Um, would I be able to see if there's any recipes or like local dishes that I could at least like hear about or see if there's anything like that, or if it's a lot of just like standard fares here?
Yes. Go ahead and roll me. Mm, survival check or nature?
Okay.
Can I assist because I'm
Sure.
bopping around talking to people?
Sure.
And I know that he likes new recipes.
Yeah.
Um, I will say, if it's okay with you, Ick, that we could roll separately. Like you're trying, like if you hear someone, you like send them my way rather than me roll with advantage.
Okay.
Okay.
You said survival or nature?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Jarek, you don't find anything in particular. Most of the stuff as far as foods that you see people making and talking about, it's just your typical like standard morning fare of some meats, some eggs, some cheeses, some breads, some oats, things like that, coffee and things. As you're kind of bebopping around, you catch something on your nose, a smell that smells quite delicious,
Mhm.
and you kind of stroll on up to it. And this person, without even thinking, just kind of hands you something hot off of their skillet and says, "Try that. Tell me what you
Oh,
think."
Ick doesn't exactly know to blow on things.
Roll me a con save then.
So, yes, the first time
We'll
that
say DC 10.
Ick's going hot, 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 ow, ow, ow. And then,
You take 1 fire damage
okay,
from burning your
this
mouth.
is so good.
Yes.
Ow, ow, hot.
It's the spicy sandworms.
yum!
It's both hot
I
in
have
temperature and in spice.
I have had worms before, but these are way better. Is it okay if I go get my friend? Because he really likes to cook, and I bet he would like to hear about this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So it bops over, still kind of going hot while they're chewing, and
Okay.
grabs you. There's this person over there, and it's worms, and it's spicy, and it's so good, and I burn my mouth, but it's super good. I think it's okay that I burn my mouth because it's delicious.
Ike, you need you need to blow on your food, Ike. You can't just be putting.
But it smelled so good.
I'm
I couldn't wait.
I'm glad for you.
Well, you should be because I think this is something new for you.
Oh well, hopefully it's easier to cook then. And I look down at like burnt eggs and like charred bacon and raw toast.
So bread?
Yes, burnt eggs and bread.
Jesus. As you kind of get led by Ick over to um, the where the smell is coming from, you catch it. You catch a whiff of it in the air, and it does smell very delicious. You're catching all the different aromas of the different spices they're using. You smell the braised, and then you smell the braised meat, the spices. And as you get closer, you see that they are pulling another batch out of their oven, braising it in the spices and some sauce. And you see on a table about 3 or 4 feet away, there is a butchered body of an animal about 3 to 4 feet long, about the size of a small wolf. You see that it's cut up into different portions, whether they're steaks or strips or jerkies, things like that. And he goes, "Oh, so you're the person she brought over to taste my food, huh?"
Yeah, I. She said it was really good. What kind of animal was that?
"Oh, it's a sandworm.
Sandworm.
Hmm. They're nasty little critters that, if you're not paying attention, they'll come up, grab you by the leg, and drag you under the sand and suffocate you, and then eat your body slowly over the time frame of a couple weeks. They're kind of like spiders without all the creepy hairy legs, and they're
How
worms.
do you know it's a couple of weeks?
Because we have found and caught a couple of sandworms that had partially decomposed and digested bodies inside of them, from people who had been missing for a week to 2 weeks.
So smart.
Oh, it wasn't me that figured that out. I'm not out there hunting these things. I just cook them. Do I look like an idiot? I like to cook, not die. So,
Some of us
Eric
idiots
likes
like to do
both.
both.
I mean,
you know,
he doesn't like to die, but
respect to you for that, but I'm just the cook here. I'm not the adventuring type. You see that this person does look a little older. They look like they have seen some stuff. Their skin is very leathery, sand beaten. They just look very tired, even though they seem to have just woken up not too long ago. But yeah, feel free to try it. It's delicious. And he puts on a plate a full-size portion of braised spicy sandworm. So, and it tastes delicious.
Yeah, I would. I'd spend some time, like, just sort of like watching how he prepares it and
Yeah.
trying to, like, basically trying to learn the recipe without getting the ingredients because, um, I would probably want to try to purchase stuff like that inside the dome.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to take food from people outside.
No, you're good. Yeah, he gives you. He's very happy to share the recipe. Since it's one of his own. It's his its own personal creation. He just encourages that whenever you make this, you kind of tell people about the method by which you learned it, how you came about knowing this recipe, kind of where it was founded, and all that stuff. Kind of a little bit of the history of the dish and how you learned it. But you can write on your inventory, because I don't have a recipe card for that, obviously, off the top of my head. Braised spicy sandworm. So, and you would imagine that you could replace the sandworm meat with other meats, and it might provide some different effects. So,
Okay.
It's more so the cooking style and the spicing and the method of preparation that kind of gives it its benefits to you. And we'll say that for this, that it will give you fire resistance for 1d4 hours, and yeah, that's what it will do. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Mika's gonna draw a picture of a person kind of cooking and, explaining things so that it's just a cool picture of them sort of in their element and then hand it to them.
They are very impressed, and you see he's like, I'm gonna have to get this framed, and he whistles, and you see like three or four little kids, whatever, and he's like, okay, go find me some materials, wood, plants, whatever you can find from outside, and craft me a picture frame. That's your quest for today, and I'll give you free lunch.
Cute.
And then they get real excited by the prospect of free lunch. Not that he wasn't going to give them free lunch anyway, but now it feels like they're working for their lunch, so they bolt out of the place to go find some materials to make a picture frame.
Thank you for the recipe and the story. I do
Oh.
appreciate it.
Of course, anytime. Good luck with today. Whatever that may bring for you.
I don't know yet, but thank you.
Neither do I. That's why it's a present, because you got to unwrap it.
Nick's writing that down on a card.
Jarek understood that. Jarek caught that.
There you go.
Attack
I don't even pull out my swords. I just what's the closest thing? I just pull out my
Bite
tinder
him.
box and I
You
just
think-
beat him. I
You just grab a frying pan off of his stove.
grab a cheese grater and rake his face with it.
Oh no.
Oh god.
All right, so you got your recipe and some bad puns. What is your plan? What are you guys doing?
After breakfast and this, Jarek would get all of their stuff together and prepare to head into the town.
Are you guys taking the tunnel route, or are you trying to figure out some other method of entry?
I believe we'll take the tunnel route that we
Yeah.
methodically
Yeah, we've
cleaned
already
out.
cleared the tunnel.
Okay. Do you guys want to, just so I know where to go with the maps, do you intend to challenge this roper in a duel to the death, or are you bypassing the roper?
I'm going to speak for myself and say fuck no.
Okay. That's one
Fuck
no.
I would
No, we're
just
not
assume- I would just
bypassing it.
assume-
Understood.
Not.
Okay. So 2 for no roper.
I believe Tristan will also try to avoid it for now.
Okay. So no roper it is then. Alright, so, but just because I think I left you guys where you were at the end of the map over here, towards the door. Let's see.
Yep.
Down here by the door. Yep.
Does Rel get to veto us though?
I don't know.
I was going to say, what about, does
He is that powerful.
Spatchcock von Mothface?
That's
Yeah.
2 votes right there.
It's yeah. No, I will I'm okay with, like, what are the choices again? I'm sorry.
Fight the roper or die to the roper.
Or ignore the roper and continue on.
I'm okay with ignoring the roper.
All right, so you all ignore the roper, but you do is you're kind of, you have to wait at some point because you see the tentacles of the roper kind of whip out as it hears you kind of walking through the cave system and just like slapping at the ground, and then as you kind of wait for a couple of minutes, those attacks cease. And the roper seems to withdraw a little bit, and you very hurriedly get past where the roper could grapple you and reel you in for lunch / brunch. Putting on that jacket. All
I'm working
right.
really hard on group.
All right. So I actually have
But
three
the
of the
Roper
same.
Nars is my honey drippers cover.
I have three of the same map for Eldoria. You get to tell me. Do you guys want the black and white version, the color version, or the blue version?
Blue.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's my choices.
I mean,
I was gonna say,
I can show you all of them, and you can just have them all.
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay.
see the like I could
All
show
right.
her with black
All
and
right.
white color.
Blue.
So you guys knock on the gate, the hatch that you had unlocked. You bring back the letter showing that you have the approval to get through from Winter Moon, and that you have earned her favor, and that they are to allow you to enter into Eldoria. So here's the black and white map of Eldoria. Little parchment style.
Very nice. Yes.
Here's the color version.
Also very nice.
And then here is the blue version. So
Blue.
I do like the blue version.
it's just whatever you guys like best. So I put all three in there. So
Posers.
posers. As you guys are let into Eldoria, you enter in through southeastern Low Grove, down here, a few blocks from what looks to be another exit to the city, with a sign that just says Silk Barrow exit closed. That's all it says. So you know this exit down here to be Silk Barrow. So I'm gonna do this just so we have like a spot of where you guys are. We're gonna use.
Has it been explained to us
Spore.
why we can enter through this area?
Through the underground area, because the barrier does not seem to penetrate fully underground. So it seems to only penetrate up to ground level, so you can get in and out, at least through this cave system. As you guys would have kind of found out through talking to her, this is a system they used before. This is just how they would travel in and out. If they didn't want to go through the official entrances, they can kind of sneak in and out, since those two folks are under the they're under the hand or paw of Winter Moon. She pays them off. They are her employees, so they let her people come in and out, and you don't have to go through the official channels of getting in and out of Eldoria. And you kind of were explained that the barrier, like I said, only seems to only go at least there to the surface level of the ground, but yeah, everything else for it stands. So
Question real quick. Is this a giant fort?
no, that fort there is
It's giant though, correct?
Oh yeah, Fort de Pouvoir. Yeah.
Okay.
It's smaller. Yeah, as you're kind of they hand you a map as you get out of the tunnels. They were kind
that's
of
handy.
they were known ahead of time that you will likely get lost, and Winter Moon doesn't want you to cause trouble and have it brought back on her. So assist in any way they can. They explain that to you, and they hand you a map of the city, so you have this map in front of you. You see the entrances and exits are the Silk Barrow down to the southeast, the Knot to the northeast, and Longrock up to the north. All kind of going different ways. The largest part of the city is that of Low Grove, and it's pretty much like that. All of this area that you can see is pretty much, this is all Low Grove. So the major portion of that. And Low Grove in of itself is, Fountain Low Grove is the market district, as well as a lot of the residences for those who aren't necessarily wealthy. There's places where a lot of the impoverished live and some of the lower middle class folk live. There's different shops and all kinds of stuff to be found there. In Little Keeposp up here, that's the portion where a lot of like the wealthier but not in power people live. So like the rich folk, but the rich folk who don't really have any control. And West Plurp over here is where the really rich folk who have all the power seem to live. The fort, and then you have Fupeep Avenue, which, yes, right, Fupeep. There these guards explain to you that that's kind of more of if you're looking for things related to higher quality of magic, that's where you go. Think of it kind of like, as they're kind of telling you that this is the place where you go to find like higher quality, more expensive magics. Everybody roll me insights. Oh, okay.
That's about right.
Okay, cool. What's your insight? Rev 17, there it is. Alright, so as they're kind of telling you guys about the this street where you can buy very high quality magic items or have stuff enchanted and created for you, you're kind of looking at the second guy, who's the other guard, Rel, and you can tell that as the first is kind of explaining this is where you can get these enchanted and high quality items, the other person looks kind of uncomfortable and just kind of almost seems to be internalizing something, as the other guy just keeps explaining about the city. And then he said, the guy explaining everything says, the last place in the city to really know is Ducis Hill. It's in front of the fort. That is the main cemetery plot for the city. Not that many people can afford to be there. It's more of a upper crust wealthy burial grounds, where people pay lifetimes worth of money to have themselves interred there. I don't have any reason to go there myself, but you know, it's in front of the fort and between the rich folks, so do with that whatever you will. And the big blue hill looking thing behind the city right there, that, as you kind of look up to it, that is the mountain that the city backs into that you saw from the hill, Tristan. And you see that the barrier seems to go, it seems like doesn't penetrate the mountain itself, but it seems to ride up the very top until you can't see it anymore, and then you look to the other side and you see it coming down. So you imagine the mountain goes over the entirety of the top of the mountain to keep the city in a dome, but does not itself penetrate through the mountain. So
Interesting.
so whoever created or whatever created this barrier seems to have it protecting the city, but cannot penetrate earthen binding for some reason.
So it's definitely a dome, not a sphere.
Yeah, it doesn't go underground. So
Got it.
it's kind of like Liam's tiny hut if that didn't go underground. So think of it kind of like that.
Would it be a biodome?
It's got a bunch of biology people in it, full of biology, so it could be a biodome if you want.
Is
But
Pauly Shore in there?
I don't know, maybe. But it doesn't seem to be as arid inside of here. It seems to be more of like a temperate city. It's almost like there's light breezes. It almost feels like the weather in here is starkly different. It is very starkly different from outside of the dome, but it almost feels like it's being set up to be this way. Like it's been, like the weather here is falsely created. It doesn't feel as natural as what you know natural weather as a druid to feel like. It just feels different.
Got it.
But yeah, this town is yours unless you have anything you wish to know from the two guards folk.
Where would the best place to sell some weapons and armor be?
Oh,
Nothing. Not trying to sell anything amazing, but just like the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Try to screw me.
In Low Grove there are a few markets, and Chandler will recognize this because I'm using something that our DM uses. If you look in your journal now, there's a whole
Hey.
general store guide on stuff that you can buy and
Yes.
sell. It's 3 pages.
This seems
Beautiful.
I took out some stuff and kept a lot of the stuff and changed prices on some stuff.
Thank you.
Right, it's 3 pages, and anything that you can see on there, you can acquire from Now, all these stores might not be in every town, but if the store is in the town, this is what they offer.
This is what they have. Cool.
They
That's
can
very
they
handy.
can also offer profession training. So if you want to gain specific increases in your fishing ability or your scavenging ability for meats and plants, or if you want to learn to make your own weapons or repair things, or be more of a leather worker or a smithy and stuff like that. Though you can be a better tailor, a better cobbler, you can earn profession proficiency from these guys. All of these are available. And if there's stuff, this isn't complete by all means, but this is what we have so far. But that's most of those are in this town. So, but he does point to the middle of Low Grove over here. This is one of the bigger markets. There are a few sporadically since Low Grove is so big. That's more of the central market, but there are smaller ones kind of around the place to serve each neighborhood, each region, as you will. But there is the biggest one is that big section right there in Low Grove. So.
Listen, you people, this is Pepper talking. If any of you go to a fortune teller and it hears about it, I'm just ending the sentence there.
It's on. How do you know? She might teach you more fortune telling stuff, Vic. Or he.
It's
You don't know.
fine if it goes. I'm just saying, if her friends go to a fortune teller,
Do it in secret. Don't tell her. She'll never know.
yeah, better.
Good to know.
But yeah, I take it you wish to go to the blacksmith and try and sell some of your stuff.
Not currently. I'd rather.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick with the group and figure out what we need to do next before we start branching off.
Okay.
Or before I will start branching off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think we should even go? Saying this, Eric would pull out the letter that he had. The letter still he still has the letter, correct? The mysterious scroll
Mm-hmm.
that he got that was sent to Shareth.
Yep.
And like none of the wording is changed. Like Jonathan is still mentioned in there and everything.
Mm-hmm. Everything is still the same as it was.
And rereading it, he doesn't see anything that might like point away.
Roll me a Arcana check as you kind of investigate this thing a little deeper. And we'll say as you look at it a little deeper, you kind of get this weird. It's almost like you get that itch when previously when you felt your ancestors about to hit you with a vision or something was about to happen. It's like right on the beginning of that. You can roll it with advantage for ancestral knowledge.
Okay, cool. So that helps a little. Oh, sweet Jesus, that helps a lot.
0. That's awesome.
Ah,
That's so good. I almost wish I didn't give you advantage.
I was hovering over that -1 button, like, yeah, my best skill.
As you're kind of staring over, like the front of it, the letter at the front doesn't seem any different. And as you flip it over, the map is no longer present as you're like staring, and you feel this like shearing pain roll through your head, and you hear just screaming and screaming and screaming, and then this symbol appears burned now into the back of this letter. And then after a few seconds, the screaming in your head kind of fades.
Does anyone else see the symbol?
Yeah, it's viewable to everyone. It now appears as if it's like a burned image into the back of this letter in place of the map that was there.
Have I ever seen it before?
You can roll me history or religion, and because
Well, we
you
did see it on the
because
ground.
yeah, you did see it there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you mean like in your past where you were raised and
Right,
that stuff.
right, right.
Yeah, and because
Can
of
I do it as well?
yeah, and then Rel, because of where you were raised and how you were raised, or on those that you were raised with, you can do it with advantage, and we'll say it can be history or religion.
Bum, bum.
Yeah, history or religion for either, advantage for Rel, and whoever else wants to roll other than Jarek already. Oh, you can
Can I make a
check.
pitch for advantage also?
Go for it. Pitch
Thank
me.
you.
Pitch me. Well, pitch me. What's your pitch?
Okay.
You gotta pitch me.
I think absolutely everyone that I was raised by and around probably has either very close connections to all kinds of gods or, you know, knows, because it's a very, where it is raised is not, it's non-ecumenical, um, non-denominational, and the skills that people around them use aren't like all good. They're not all good. They're not all evil. Um, and there's a lot of seeing of all kinds of things under the sun that people do, that people get into.
All right. Yeah. Give me that advantage.
All right, thank you. And you said history?
Or religion, whichever one you want.
Okay, religion. They're the same for me, but religion makes more sense. Okay, never mind. It wasn't paying attention.
Tristan, do you wish to roll in any way for the history or religion? You don't
Trying
have
to
to. It's up
see
to you.
if I rolled for it last time.
It just is
Okay,
looking at the
I know
paper
I
and
rolled
goes,
for it last time, and
how did you do that? She's looking at Jarek.
I'm
How did
gonna
you do that?
I'm gonna roll every time I see it,
Yeah.
just because I'm going to. Is my memory coming back? Is my memory not coming back?
Yeah, I guess I'll roll again. You said
Alright.
insight or history?
History or religion, just a regular one for you.
do you want me to roll as well, or
Sure. Why not? We can all give it the rolls.
all right?
4. All right. Can you
Still
can you do
nothing.
better than a 10? That's not the
History-
DC. I'm just wondering if you can roll better than a 10. History or religion?
history or religion. Just straight roll.
Yes.
I'll do a religion for that.
All right. All right. So you've seen this symbol before, Jarek, based on your whole community. You know that it's typically, like you realized last time when you saw it, there are offshoots of different deities who don't always do things that are in line with the pillars of that deity's belief system. They don't always practice the way that is intended by said deity, and they often use their name to seek power for their own selves and do things in not the best kind of way.
Aunties always say that if you get more than one person worshiping,
Yeah.
like somebody's gonna screw it.
Mm-hmm. Rel,
And sometimes the one person does too.
you don't remember like super in depth about the symbol. You've seen lots of different symbols and different religious iconography in your earlier schooling, and you know that there are people who do worship the Raven Queen, and you know that there are also offshoots and subsidiary religions as part of the umbrella of each deity. Um,
Yeah.
you have about the same amount of knowledge in that this is likely one of those offshoots, and if the symbol is not found as openly and commonly as the normal symbol of the Raven Queen, then you would imagine this is likely not one of the groups that wants to be well known, and very likely isn't one that is welcoming or one that you would talk about in a ceremony or church. Basically, it's one of the more underground subsidiary groupings of people that you probably don't want to be associated with, but that's about the best that you can kind of determine based on it and Jarek's reaction to it too, and your knowledge from before. So
This would make a cool tattoo.
that is very accurate.
This is true.
So Jarek will be holding this parchment and like seeing the symbol on the back and like almost like visibly shaking, similar to when he would go into a rage. But he just like instead of like folding it back nicely, just almost like crumples it by slamming his hands together, and then stuffing it into his bag without really saying a word.
Why? I'm assuming. Never mind. Why?
It
Why is
starts
this
petting your
upsetting to
leg.
you?
Hmm.
Sorry, what then?
Why is this? Sorry, I got a chip in my throat. Can't. Why is this upsetting to you?
There are those who would like to take the power of the Raven Queen out of her home. And it's an abomination upon this world, defiling her magic. And this is a symbol of those who think that they have that right and that power.
Then
Something
why
that
did you make it show up on your paper?
I don't think that I made it do that. Not exactly. I look down at Pig. Not exactly magical like you.
Oh, well, I don't know. People can do all kinds of things, and we haven't known each other very long. Then who? Then how did that happen?
Well, I'm wondering if maybe the map is enchanted. It used to have, or the parchment's enchanted. It used to have the map on the back. Maybe this is how we're supposed to find out what's going on. I don't know.
Like
Someone
we need
smarter
to
than
go
me should
through
figure it out.
like we need to go through and just see if we can find that symbol places, maybe?
I will warn you now. If I find anyone following that symbol, they will die.
Oh, well, that's fine.
And then Jarek just sort of
Um,
gets very quiet, like almost introspectively or listening.
but this symbol is definitely magic related, right?
Yes.
Why don't we why don't we go search for some kind of wizard or cleric in this town and see if they have any insight as to why it could be appearing on this piece of paper.
I would. Are we still near the two guards who like let us in and were giving us a tour?
That is up to you. You could have stepped away and kind of walked towards the town, but after they kind of explained to you where everything was by pointing it out onto the map and kind of pointing in general directions of where stuff is, they went back to doing their guard duty. So if you guys would have stepped a few minutes away from them to like a less populated area or a more populated area, that's up to you. But I kind of assumed you were just walking out into the town a little bit away from
Walking
them.
and talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine we would have probably been doing that until I saw the symbol and probably just froze in my tracks, like a madman.
That's how I imagined it as well.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
do do we all know? Do the rest of you know that you all got these letters? I mean, do we know that amongst ourselves?
I mean, you know that based on what brought you all together and the person you were speaking with, you know that he sent letters to all of his party mates to join him here. So, putting those together, you know that you all got letters, but you don't know, you only know what your own letters said. Unless you have chosen to share them, of which, if you did,
Okay.
then I can share all of them with everyone, but until now, everyone only has the knowledge of their own letter, unless you tell me otherwise.
Okay.
So.
Tristan definitely would have kept his letter to himself.
Oh, this is my surprise face.
Wait a minute.
What's going on here?
Okay. Um. Okay. So, it is just like poking Jarek in the knee until he will look down at her.
I kneel down to acknowledge her. Like I like to treat her with respect and like
Aw.
look at her like fairly face to face whenever she wants to say something important to him.
Do
What kind of check would that be to see if they have that kind of power to manifest in the outside world?
Let's see here. I think it's gonna be something probably wisdom, but also because of your. We'll say a wisdom check with advantage, utilizing since it's your subclass. So
Just straight wisdom.
yeah, straight wisdom with advantage.
Okay.
You've never seen them do it, but you also don't know the extent of the power of the ancestors, since you recently were able to kind of focus it a little bit more and use them as distracting protections of your party members. So maybe you've seen them physically appear to distract the enemies, so maybe.
They might be able to do that, but I don't think. Last night before I went to bed, I tried to talk with them and show them the symbol that you drew on the card, and their reaction was strong and visceral.
Oh,
I do not believe they would have. If they did, it would not have been a light decision to recreate the symbol on our map.
well, oh, okay. I mean, what I was thinking was like I said, maybe they wanted to make sure that you started looking for that symbol, but they well, and it reaches up and hugs Jarek around the neck. She says, "It's you know what? Whatever we need to find, we're gonna find it, and whatever you feel like you have to do, because it sounds like that's worth getting mad over. Then we'll do whatever you need to do. Okay?"
Thank you.
Rel nods and just kind of, I'm just listening and taking it in. So, but yeah.
It did try to say the voices in your head quietly.
We're not crazy, right, guys?
You're crazy.
Doc
I'm not
puppets.
crazy. I can hear them too.
Yay! Uh, Jarek would like just sort of like nod, like a little smile, which is, as about as affectionate as he really gets. And then sort of stands up. I don't know how they do it out here, but our elders are the ones who really lead the memories and knowledge of the Raven Queen. I don't really think a lot of my kind have made it out, but maybe there's some religious person who might know. AKA, I don't know about clerics and temples and shit.
Oh, and if I mean, we don't know anybody here, so it sounds like this would need to be something we need to be careful asking people about.
Yes.
But they must be here with that showing up and with the symbol in the tunnel.
Those were not carved lightly.
We can look for a library or some kind of museum to see if there are to try to find a link.
A what?
A place of
link.
knowledge.
Mm.
Oh, you don't know what a library is. Ah.
Fun fact, that's actually canon. Until Ick showed Jarek a drawing of him, he didn't know what he looked like.
It's also
That's-
true.
You've never looked into water?
Where he's from, light doesn't really exist, so there's no reflections in water.
True.
Fair enough.
So
It started off as a joke, and then we thought about it, and we're like, holy smokes, that actually makes sense.
Does make sense.
So Rel takes out one of her books and says, a library is a house for all of these. Imagine this, but like an infinite number of them with pretty much any information we can find. So,
If it has all the information, then we should definitely find one of these places.
yes. Well, I mean, not it doesn't have everything, but it has close to everything. So, let's see what we can find out.
I trust your judgment and lead.
So, I guess I will check the map for a library,
For library,
a biblioteca.
a biblioteca.
I will help.
All right.
Donde está la biblioteca, Pedro?
Dead. That's where
La
it is.
biblioteca está en mi pantalones.
Oh no. Oh no.
You should get that checked.
Yeah.
Go ahead
Should
and
she get it checked out or checked
Oh
in?
man, I set you up for that, didn't I?
Big
Don't-
pockets.
you can make it an investigation check
So
with
mad I didn't
advantage
do it
if he's helping you, or you can both roll investigation.
Wink. I roll like shit.
You, based on the map and the stuff they gave you, you don't see anything in particular that jumps out as a library. There's no real like multiple story buildings that you can see in this city. It looks like the highest is maybe 2 stories, 20 foot tall. It doesn't look like, even the fort doesn't seem to be a very, very tall fort. It seems to just be smaller, but just more fortified. But there's nothing that stands out as a giant, that would be in like a giant library, anything like that. So.
Okay. And nothing that looks like a school or a college or.
Nothing that you can find on the map or in your immediate visual
Okay.
vicinity. So.
Okay.
And the guards don't look like they are the most well-educated folk. They look like they are grunts for hire who are just working their jobs to, have jobs.
They still might know where the library is.
Well, we have to ask somebody if we can't find it just off this map.
Can Ick just grab somebody walking by?
Yeah.
She'll just trot over to someone and say, "Excuse me,
Hmm.
excuse me.
Hmm.
Hi, do you have a place where all the books live?"
They look at you very confused. Books aren't really alive. Well, most of them aren't alive, I'm sure. Well,
I
maybe.
mean, some of them are, but anyway, there's supposed to be a place like where all the books are.
I don't know about all the books, but you can probably find somebody who has books in one of the marketplaces.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a bug?
No, that's... No. And they walk quickly away.
That's no.
Well, it trots back over. Found out. Marketplace.
Okay. So let's start there. And I guess we start walking.
You know what's funny?
What?
That person didn't think that books are alive.
Well, they're not.
What?
If
Some
I
of them
punch,
are.
if I punch the book, it does not punch back.
It depends on what book you punch.
Rel, may I see one of your books?
I will give him a very low value book. Something I probably just grabbed off my shelf without, thinking.
Plus love.
Yeah. This one is about a glittery vampire. Go ahead.
Does a 16 hit the book?
Look,
I mean, yeah.
obviously that one isn't alive. But all of the aunties have at least one that is. My favorite one has a tongue.
Jesus.
I don't. Why would a book have a tongue?
So it can talk.
I look at the book. What are you about? And I start like flipping through the pages.
You have to know how to talk to it. But that's why the aunties have some of them, is because they can tell them spells and things. Help them remember.
I hand the book back to Rel. I'm sorry that your book isn't alive.
It's okay. This book really didn't need it. And I just tuck it back in my bag.
Why are the vampires sparkling?
I don't know. Mormons?
That
I don't
seems.
Did you say Mormons?
Mormons.
That seems counterproductive.
Oh, I was not anticipating that. There's a lot of things I anticipated, but Mormon was not on that list.
It really seems counterproductive.
Exponent quotes.
Okay. What's the general, as we're walking around, what is sort of the general mood and like reaction to us? Like, have I seen any other Shatterkai since I left?
You have not.
Like, so like, am I getting weird looks at all, or?
There are some people that are kind of, that see you and they kind of step to the side, kind of out of your way, because it's more of like discomfort and the feeling of insecurity around you, more so than like hatred and fear. It's just people aren't sure. So it's one of those where I just rather go over here than maybe have to have a conversation with this person. One of those kind of feels. But you're super pale skinned, correct? And no hair, basically.
No, I do have hair, but it's like a white braid, basically.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, very pale grayish skin.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people look at you and you kind of get the feeling, because someone says it as they're kind of walking by. You should go check out the doctor. You're probably sick. You look real pale. And they hurry on their way. But I mean, no one's like actively doing anything to kind of like, other than that, to grab your attention. It's more of just like people are sticking up the way. But everyone go ahead and roll me insight checks as you're kind of walking through the town.
Boom! Wow, that's not right.
Oblivious.
I was starting to question my dice rolling skills.
Like that our tracker's not good in town at all.
He's a woods tracker, man.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't no city
Exactly.
tracker. He ain't
I
no
mean, this is more my favorite terrain, as it were.
You are a city druid.
Yes.
Brick by brick, I built this city.
On rock and roll.
Hey,
I
there you go.
built this city.
A little gnome bard named Cruise Tom, shows up and starts singing. Cruise Comma Tom.
How fast does he run?
Not
Does he run
very.
real fast and pump his arms?
Yes, he Naruto runs all around the place. But the Jarek, your 18 is more of like noticing people's reaction to you and kind of like how people are, kind of how I was describing, how they're not like actively doing anything aggressive towards you, but they're more just like, you're getting more looks than you've ever gotten before. And it's one of those things where you're like, wait, is there something on my face? Do I have egg on my shirt? It's one of those kind of things. With those of you with the 21 and 22, you can see that the main parts of the city that you're walking through in Low Grove, the main strips that are the most traversed seem to have people who are selling things, buskers, general people traveling, people's neighbors talking to each other. And as you're kind of making your way around, just kind of maneuvering through the streets, every few blocks, you kind of, it catches your eye after about the third or fourth time. It becomes more of a pattern. that down the alleys there seem to be those who are living in dirt, those who are living in scraps. Their clothes are very ripped. People are living very poorly in some alleys and back streets. It's almost like the city itself is just ignoring that they're there, not acknowledging their existence, and they seem to have a lot of people suffering on the sides. And none of these people who are walking, you never see any person turn their heads to look down the alley. They're always focused on what's directly in front of them. No one ever seems to look behind them, and no one ever seems to look down these alleys, which is kind of odd because people typically keep a wide, like, view of what's going on around them, but people here aren't doing that. So,
Hmm. I'm gonna walk down one of those alleys.
okay. It feels like an
Um,
alley.
Okay.
Ro, where are you going, Ro?
I was just trying to ascertain whether or not there was any threats here. Just, I was just drawn to it, and I
With
just.
Rel saying that, like Jarrett grips his glaive a little tighter, like he's preparing to strike at something that he doesn't know what, but
Nothing. My spider senses were tingling, that's all. And, I thought that either that or maybe someone needed my help. Nothing, nothing major, but we can go back to looking for the books.
Are you approaching the person that's down towards the end of the alley, or are you just leaving them be?
I guess I will. Why not? I'm feeling spicy today.
As you get closer, the person seems to be sitting. So imagine you're walking down this dark alley that's kind of split off the side, right? And it's probably
Mhm.
40, 50 feet back. It gets darker as the further you go down, as the impeding buildings seem to cut all the light and bolster the darkness of the alley. Not enough that you need dark vision or anything to see. It's just very grim and very twilight as you're getting further and further down towards this.
Twilight.
Hey. Um, but there is garbage lining some of the areas of this dark cavernous thoroughfare. Um, and as you kind of get towards the end, you see that it kind of splits off left and right as it hits that bare wall where this person's sitting. And the whole time that you walk this 40, 50-ish feet to get to them, they didn't move. They didn't say anything. They just stared at you as you approached. And as you get closer, there's no blinking, there's no moving. Their facial features are very sunken and hollow. They have this smell of just death from them. But their chest seems to be rising and falling like they're breathing. But they look similar to a corpse, a breathing corpse.
Mhm.
But some that you saw in the caverns before look similar to that, but it's not acting that way. It's just acting as a person sitting, looking dead and breathing.
I get as close as I can very slowly and gently,
Mm.
and I kind of just squat down and look back at the person and go, "Hello." And I have Spatchcock kind of light up. I'm going to actually cast light and have Spatchcock on Spatchcock and like let him illuminate the alley a little bit.
As you cast light on Spatchcock, the eyes of this humanoid expand almost inhumanly, and it jumps up, screeches, and starts to try to run.
And then
And then,
okay, then I'll stop light and I'll.
yeah, once the light ends, it stops and sits back down.
Okay.
Not where it was, but about 15 feet away. It had gotten
Okay.
decently.
Okay. So I'll squat again and I'll just kind of like more getting closer to their eye level and just kind of walking away, going, I'm sorry, I was just trying to help you. Are you okay? and just try to see if they respond or take out a piece of bread or something.
As you ask them if they're okay and start to kind of wait and see, the rising and falling of their chest just stays breathy
Hmm.
and empty. It's like there's no force and there's no feeling behind their breath. It's
Hmm.
almost like just the subconscious autonomous breathing is just happening against their will. You hear every time as you listen closer to the breath, the ribs, you hear the expanding of the bones and the cracking of the cartilage and the joints,
Okay.
but they don't say anything in response to you. The breathing is just continuing.
Okay.
Having followed her down a little bit, can I make a nature check to see if I recognize what is going on here?
Yeah. The person doesn't look like they're alive, but they're very much acting in a way that a living person who's fallen on exceptionally hard times would look.
It's not very helpful.
Can I do a medicine check?
Sure.
Bum, 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 bum. As soon as I find my medicine, there we go. Not too bad.
What exactly are you doing with your medicine check?
Okay, so I'm trying to see if there's any way I can help them or heal them. If this is like an actual natural illness that I've seen ever that I could possibly help with.
It doesn't look like any disease process that you've seen.
Hmm.
It could be, but you're not 100% sure. However, as you lean in and get closer,
Hmm.
and you kind of feel for their pulses, there isn't a pulse. There's no heartbeat, but they're breathing, and they clearly can move.
Oh.
And I move up to them and slowly take out one of my swords and just like put the flat side against its arm.
Yeah. As you place the flat side of your sword against the arm, it doesn't flinch. This humanoid doesn't change their breathing patterns, doesn't look at you, doesn't even really acknowledge that there is a sword flat against their person.
So, Ick has seen a lot of people in a trance
Hmm.
or astral projecting. Does this look anything like those things?
It does not.
Okay.
Jarek has no clue.
Like this.
Standing back up and sheathing my sword, I would say I don't know what's going on here, but it's probably best we leave them be for now.
Ick, make me a Arcana check.
Sure.
I'm gonna stand up and kind of take a couple steps back as well.
Yeah, an 8 doesn't do it.
Nope.
It could be magic, you don't know. Could be normal, you don't
Yeah.
know. So
I don't, do you think everybody in the alleys are like this?
Is there anyone else in the alley?
roll me a perception check.
Is this what?
Yeah, anyone who
It's
wants
just
to
kind
can.
of addressing everybody. Perception?
Yeah.
Is this what cities are like always?
Not necessarily. I've never. Oh, that's fun.
Hey!
You are still enthralled, Rel, with this person in front of you, how they're not really reacting except to light. Because where you still are, off to where it ran, it's still darkened here. Still, you can still see, but the light doesn't seem to penetrate where this creature is staying.
Gotcha.
The other three of you, this isn't the only one. As you look around down each of these alleys that go left and right from the direction of where it's basically like a T shape, and you got to the base of the T, and you're looking left and right, and you see down each of the alleyways. As far as you can see, there are others who are laying, or a couple are standing. And as you kind of listen and focus, all you hear is like all of their breathing is synchronous.
Oh, creepy AF.
And is it actually breathing, or is it just like the motions of breathing?
It sounds like there is air passing through the body of these humanoids.
It is patting Jarek's knee again, kind of urgently.
I sort of like drop to one knee, but still like not taking my eyes off of all of the other ones.
So Ick basically attaches themselves to you, and Ick is shaking just a little bit.
I stand back up and start like not like turning around, but just sort of like slowly like I do not think that this is natural.
I don't like this, and it's like they're not alive and they're not dead, and doesn't the Raven Queen not like that?
This is an abomination. Does this feel like an abomination to the natural order?
Yes.
Yeah, Jarek is not a fan of this at all, and is. We should not be here.
Agreed. And I start to kind of slowly back out a little bit, and I'm still like facing them, like I'm walking backwards, but I'm not losing eye contact.
Kristen, are you backing up also?
Yeah. Kind of taking
Seeing
backwards glances at like where we're backing up to.
seeing that Tristan and Rel are both backing up, Jarek would turn and look down towards the main alleyway, like back towards the main road, the main thoroughfare,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that like nothing is blocking our path at all.
Nope, there's nothing blocking your path. You do see people on carts and people on foot walking past and riding past, and as they have been, not one person turns their head to look in your direction. Everyone is focused on what's in front of them, whether they're going to the left of the alleyway, to the right of the alleyway, the direction you were or came from. No one seems to turn their point of view from any direction, bar what's exactly in front of them.
Do they appear to be normal?
I mean, yeah, they look the same as the people that you saw before you came down this alley. Everything, they're just acting strange, but they look like normal people. They're walking, talking, pushing things, carrying them, riding. Some are stopping and talking and stuff. Yeah, their behavior is not abnormal, other than them not looking down these alleys. It's almost like they're either actively choosing to not acknowledge those who are in these alleyways, or they just don't care enough to even realize they're there.
Or they're magically
Delicious.
Hey.
they're magically being concealed somehow.
As we leave, I stop the first person that's like walking towards, be like, "What is wrong with the people in the alleys?"
Prior to that, as you guys are backing up and leaving, you all hear from seemingly all of the people at once with a wispy exhale. Help us. That's it. Getting to the person that you asked you ask them what's happening with those people.
Yeah,
Wait, so
like
who,
yeah.
who said that?
All of
Everyone?
the voices from all of the bodies from all the humanoids that were in the dark alley
Oh, okay.
all at one time. So you kind of hear it's like it echoes. It kind of starts on one end of the alley and just kind of bounces through the hall, bounces through the alley, hits the other side, and kind of reverberates back. And it's almost like you're in a tornado of cyclonic voices, and it all kind of hits you at one time and just fades. And then as you walk back out onto the main street and you ask what's going
What
on,
is happening with the people in the alleys?
and they just look at you and like they look at you bewildered, not knowing what it is you're talking about. Like, what do you mean people in the alleys? There's nothing there. And they turn their whole body rather than just their head and point at the alley. But as they point, you see their eyes are closed. So they're not looking themselves, but their body positioning is showing from another person as if they were. And as you look back, it just looks like an empty alley.
Like
And
I don't even see the person that we had been like examining.
nope, just looks like there's trash and dirt down there. It doesn't look like there's any persons. And it's a little bit more lit there than it was just a few moments ago. And then they kind of turn their body back so it's no longer facing the alley and open their eyes again. Um, I don't know what you're talking about. It's just an alley. But I have stuff I have to do. And they continue on their way.
I say we I'm just gonna turn to the group and say I say we look for food and lodging at this point, just to kind of have a home base where we can discuss this and possibly look around the town.
I I agree. I
And
think
and
I
this
hope your library has these answers.
I hope so too.
I was muted. I said I agree about finding lodging.
Um and yeah, so that's I guess what we'll do. We'll look for like some kind of tavern or inn or something. 'Cause that's usually where the people talk.
Okay.
Well, don't people talk everywhere?
Yes, but they tend to be a little bit more loose-lipped, shall we say, when they're drinking.
Interesting.
All right. So you guys go looking for a tavern and an inn.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take too long. You find a couple of different taverns and inns. One looks a little worse for wear than the other. One looks like it's more of a beaten down, hole in the wall, needs repaired kind of building, and the other one looks like it's had more of like finished masonry and finished carpentry done on the outsides, and it looks like it's probably catering more to those who have stronger finances than the other, but both are options for you.
I say we go to the slightly more bougie one, and if money's a problem, I think I have enough, hopefully.
Okay.
I say we go to the lesser one, because poorer, drunk people are more likely to talk a bit more.
Let's go there for
Vent-
dinner. Yeah, let's
vent-
go there for dinner and
Vent
see
their
if,
frustrations.
yeah, let's go there for dinner, I guess. I'm down for that, but I'd like to sleep on an actual, mattress tonight. If possible. I'm going to I need to take a real quick break if that's okay.
Yeah, you're good. We can take a 5.
Okay, yeah, that would be
Thank
great.
you. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
that would be lovely.
Cool. All right, we'll come back at 10:30.
Okay,
Alright.
cool.
All right, we're back. So you guys find the less financially prolific tavern. It is named the False Gate Pub.
It's gay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. The False Gate Pub. Yeah, as you walk in, it's not super busy in there. Um, I mean, there are some people in there, but it's not like it's not swarming
Do we
with
see any
with
creepy
folks.
people?
Define what you mean by creepy people.
Aside from ourselves.
The alley people.
Oh no, nope. Just there are some normal folks in there. Some are eating lunch. The bartender is cleaning up a little bit, but there's maybe four other people in here. So
Who? What are the other 4 people like?
looks to be 2 humans and 2 dwarves. They seem to be sitting off in couplets. So there's 2 human men in there, seemingly eating lunch, maybe talking about something a little quietly to themselves, and then there are two very bearded dwarves who are playing cards with each other, and drinking happily.
Oh, happy.
Well, they are happy that they are drinking and playing cards. Whether they are happy people or not, you don't know. But
That's fair.
yeah.
I guess before going in, I would ask how we're a room apiece. Are we trying to split?
I thought you guys were eating here, then
Yeah.
going to the other one to sleep, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was my
Oh.
plan. Yeah.
My bad. I didn't know what time of day it was. I thought we were going to the other
Oh
place.
no,
and
it
then
is.
going
It's
back
like
to
it's like
the
lunchtime right now.
Oh, okay.
yeah. But as you kind of walk in and take it in, you see the bartender. They look to be an elven man, a little like middle-aged, in looks. He has cropped, braided red hair, golden eyes. His skin is like a greenish color. You recognize him as very likely being a wood elf. He's not very tall. He's only about 5'1", very skinny. He looks like he's trying to be edgy with how he like is carrying himself in his clothing, but unfortunately, this man is very cross-eyed, so he can't really keep a intimidating look going. um, but yeah, he's just cleaning off the bar, and every couple of seconds he kind of bumps into something, and you hear him curse to himself, but then like hold himself back up straight and go back to cleaning and rinse and repeat. And he sees you walk in, and he kind of looks off to the direction where you guys aren't coming in from, and then like actively turns his head back towards you. Hi, come on in. What can I get you for lunch, breakfast, early dinner? I don't know what you having. How can I help you?
I think I walked in first, so I would walk up and I would just sit right at the bar and I would just ask, "What do you have?"
Well, so he hands you a menu, and on the menu there are 8 things, and if this goes properly, it's those 8 things. You can get a mug of cider or perry, which I'm saying is like sherry. You can get biscuits, blue cheese with ale, chicken, cheese, and cider, porridge with bitters, a stout and some boiled cabbage, vegetable stew and some cider, and artichokes and stout. So, and those are the prices with them too. So.
Hmm. I'll take the rye biscuits.
Rye biscuits and blue cheese. Got it, got it. Anything else for the rest of you?
I'll take one of the chickens.
All right. How about you two?
I would get the potage
Ooh.
and the mug of cider, and
Okay.
I will look at Ick and say, "What would you like?" And I say, and I just kind of help her like review the menu. I don't know if she's ever seen any of this kind of food before, so
Definitely never seen a menu, so that's a novelty. Um, um, can I have the cabbage and just some water?
Oh yeah, sure, I can do that. No problem. And he takes your order, writes it down on a piece of paper, and goes back into the kitchen. And he's gone for about 10 minutes. While he's preparing food, he brings the drinks out to you and then goes back to the kitchen and continues preparing. About 10 or so minutes go by. Anything you want to do in between him bringing you your drinks and bringing you your food?
I'm listening into conversations and just trying to see if there's anything going on, I guess. Just kind of keeping my ears up, open and
Yeah. You hear the two humans kind of talking to themselves about work. It seems that they both work for um, one of the blacksmiths in the area. One of them seems to be more of a forger by profession, and the other seems to be like he's the one who's smelting and moving the metals and whatnot, and starting like the first hand on the blacksmithing, and the other one seems to be like the finishing blacksmither. So they're kind of just talking about work, talking about some of the projects, and how their boss is just expecting too much, too fast, and they're debating about resigning, but also realize they have to, pay for food and keep their families alive. The dwarves, one of them is talking way more than the other. It's almost like that one dwarf is a little drunker than the other, which historically, dwarves are not the easiest to get inebriated. It's kind of what they pride themselves on. But the one who just starts talking, you hear them mention rumors of somebody trying to utilize potions and magic to create followers, maybe?
Hmm.
They're not sure if they mean followers as in, like, hosting a banquet and putting on a speech and building a following that way, or if they're referring to tainting beverages and things to force people to bend to their will. Their thoughts are pretty scattered on the subject, but they're just kind of alluding back and forth between someone trying to do this stuff and then it becoming more prevalent that some people are going missing. The leader of the town doesn't seem to care. They don't come off of their high horse up in um, Fort de Pouvoir. But then they go back to chugging their beer and playing some cards. So,
okay. I take a note of that.
okay.
And I go and I just kind of um yeah, no. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sit there and wait.
Okay. A few more minutes goes by, and you see that they bring out your food for you. They bring out two at a time. Um, and then, is there anything else that I can get for you, or are you ready to settle up?
Are we ready to what?
Settle up, pay your tab, pay the bill.
Oh, yes. And I would pay for mine and Ix.
Okay. So, just do the math on how much you have there and just subtract that from your inventory. Um,
While you're
Hmm.
here,
Hmm.
have you been in this town long?
Oh, yeah, at least like 70 years.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
How old does this guy look?
Well, he's an elf, so they can live hundreds
Oh,
and
okay.
hundreds of years. Um,
Okay.
yeah, at least I've traveled before I settled here. Well, before this, and he kind of points to his eyes. I wasn't always like this. I got into an argument with,
I used to be an adventurer like you.
I got into an argument with my wife, and she hit me in the head with a cast iron pan, and well, here we are. Then she divorced me and left me this place. So here we are. No, I'm about 120 something. So,
Well then, perhaps you might have a. You would say you would know this town well.
I mean, yeah.
Is there a library or
Mm,
a center of knowledge for magic users?
there used to be.
What happened to it?
Um, well, that's a long story, but let's
I
so,
pull up a chair for him.
for the guy behind the bar.
Yep.
um, oh, well, thank you, thank you. Um, suffice to say, the the leader who's been in power for about 3 decades was not a fan of public education, so he took all the books and put them in the dungeon of the fort. So there
Who's
was.
the leader? Who is
Uh,
this leader, and what did he have against educating people?
well, it's a lot easier to keep people bended to your will when they're not smart. Um, he is a. He kind of looks around, and as he's starting to talk, you see that as he hesitates for a moment to kind of talk to you about the leader, that everyone kind of turns and kind of looks at the bartender almost almost in unison. He goes, "Oh, he Valshun. He's he's the greatest leader we've ever had." And
Sounds like
you don't need an insight check to know that he's putting on,
Being
yeah.
yeah.
He's very much saying what he needs to say. But his this is how you spell his name, Valshun. Mhm. He's he's been here a while. So, what can I help you with? I forgot to introduce myself. I'm so sorry.
Wait.
Welcome to my inn. The well, it's not the greatest name in the world, but you know, how can it go wrong with the False Gate? False Gate Pub. But I'm Egos. Egos Eleneth.
Ooh, nice. Thank you. Hi, Egos. It's nice to meet you. My name is Rel.
Mm.
This potage is wonderful. Does it have mushrooms in it?
Um, maybe.
Yeah, mushrooms are wonderful because I've studied a lot, and what I've learned about mushrooms is that mushrooms have a really complex network of communication where if one mushroom happens to get a message, it sends it to the entire network of mushrooms. It's kind of like called a mycelial network. And yeah, mushrooms are really good like that. Do you know anything about mushrooms?
And he looks at you, tries to look at you, but is looking in two different directions.
Mm-hmm.
Are you like staring at him really meaningfully?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like leaning forward, like when one mushroom knows something.
Yeah.
I don't know much about fungi,
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh.
sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I studied a lot of plants in mycology when I was in school, so I thought, that would you know,
Mm,
with food and stuff like that, mushrooms are really this is really delicious though. Thank you.
absolutely. He rolled very
Can
poorly
I
on his
roll
check.
can I roll a perception check to tell if I can tell that there is subtext here that Rel is trying to get him to
You could do insight.
insight. Okay,
Yeah.
you're right. That's insight.
Mm,
Probably
you can tell that she is they're trying to say something without saying it, or they really love mushrooms.
not. Right.
You haven't
Could be
even heard
both.
Jarek talk about mushrooms this much or any food ingredient this much. So
Yeah.
maybe Raul just loves
Yeah.
mycology.
Rel loves shrooms.
Raul
mean-
loves shroom.
Who doesn't?
It's not to like. Shrooms are very important where I come from. Okay. So
She's got a
Ick is
tattooed
just
across her
sitting there.
knuckles. Shroom Queen.
Mushroom room.
Jesus.
Mushroom room.
Let me take you to the mushroom. Pow pow.
Oh,
There's
wow.
there's
Okay,
there's
I'm in now.
there's fungus among us, yo.
Yo.
My dad used to say that. Okay,
Don't look at
so
my toes.
Ick is eating their boiled cabbage,
Mhm.
but just kind of staring fixedly at Rel, trying to figure this out, and like isn't doing a very good job with the cabbage
Mm.
because they're not looking down to eat. They're just like staring at Rel.
What brings you all to town? Why are you here? Do you live here? You don't look like you would, especially you. And they point over at Jarek. You might want to get checked out by a doctor, or just get some sun.
I haven't seen sun in almost 40 years.
It's sunny outside right now.
Well, besides his past couple of weeks.
I
Oh.
didn't see it.
I'm wearing sunglasses. I can't see nothing.
Had my eyes shut.
Must have just missed it. Dang.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. So, what brings you here? Normally, it's the same group of people that end up in my pub, and well, what's your story?
We thought we were helping someone on one last adventure, and then they disappeared on us. So we thought we'd come here and see if maybe they were already here.
Do you have a picture of this person, or do you have any idea what they look like or who they are?
Kind of, and I look at Ick.
Ick is still staring at Rel.
I kind of like look at Ick and look at I say, honey, do you have that drawing you did of Domas?
It gets into their little side pouch and shuffles through the cards that they are starting to accumulate and hands it to Rel.
And I then hand it to Egos.
Huh. Well, that's certainly a good picture.
Yeah, she stayed in the lines and everything.
Yeah, good job.
I made the lines.
I know, I'm joking.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So he doesn't look familiar at all to you?
I mean, I'm gonna roll me a check for this person. That's probably not gonna go well because they have. Okay. I've seen what I assume this is to be a half orc. I've seen half orcs before, sometimes around the town, but I don't recognize this person.
Well,
You said Domas is their name?
there's something
He
wrong
also-
with that
he also-
picture.
He also called himself Jonathan.
That's interesting.
Why?
I remember the name Domas, but I don't know why.
Uh,
You see that he kind of stops for a second and he's thinking hard, and it's all very noticeable. All of the sounds in the bar and all the talking stops. And the silent tension just builds and builds and builds.
And that is when Rel
Mm-hmm.
stands up on the table and breaks into a musical number about mushrooms.
Roll me a performance check. It's a very well done.
Wow.
It's a very well done performance on mycology and mushrooms.
Yes.
And everyone just, all four of them who are in this bar are staring at you, confused. And then they kind of go back to their talking, and he goes, shakes his head. I must have been confused. I thought it was someone that was there. It's gone. So I don't think I've actually heard that name before. I don't know. It reminded me of something, but I can't remember what.
It,
So.
it, it happens all the time to all of us. I mean, you know, names are so wibbly wobbly. I mean, I get it. I understand. So I know that, like I get that shit's going down, but I'm trying to detract and make sure that like I'm trying to deflect any trouble away from him.
Yeah. All right. Hmm. Uh, do you need a recommendation on places to stay? I don't have rooms to offer here. I live here and it's only a 2-bedroom place, so, you know.
That would be lovely if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have the money, it's not super expensive. It's just a little bit more than here, but it's much nicer. There's a bar across the square, an inn, and he describes the other inn that you guys saw as you were maneuvering, and getting here. It's the Black Narcissus. So, but I'd recommend staying there. It's nice.
We will
Perfect.
take you
Thanks.
up on that.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Oh,
appreciate you.
and if you tell them that I recommended you, then you'll likely get a discount of some sort, and maybe they will kick me some more business instead of trying to buy me out.
Oh,
Oh.
absolutely. No, I will certainly do that, and I'll actually throw him a couple extra copper.
I appreciate it. Thank you. This will go to buying more cleaning materials and, you know, more carpentry equipment. As you're kind of sitting there, you lean back and forth. You hear the squeaking of the chairs. Eet, eet. They're not quite as supported as they should be. It looks like this place just needs a investment of some sort to really, really get back on its feet. So it looks like it's been neglected a little bit, a
Small
moderate
loan
bit,
of 1,000,000 gold pieces.
by the town
Like a small loan.
of your soul.
Um,
Gold pieces.
I
So-
wasn't using it.
Would I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, you're fine.
Would cure wounds fix his eyes?
Um,
And you're being so nice to this guy, and he's about to be like drawn and quartered 20 minutes after this.
I understand that, but if he's gonna fight, I want him to be able to fight back with good vision.
I'd like him to be able to see his executioners in 20/20 vision, please.
I want him to look. I want him to look his maker in the eyes.
his maker in the eye.
I mean,
No,
it's worth
but
the spell slot. That's what I
no,
was
but
gonna
I'll tell you that lesser restoration could. If you cast
Yeah.
it twice, you could fix his eyes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't have it prepared today. Maybe later.
Just fix one.
You could just
Just
fix one. Just one.
Just
It's a Sophie's choice. Which eye do I fix?
I mean, then he could just wear an eye patch and look real cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Feel free to, you know, head over there whenever you want, or drink more all day here. I'm not opposed to taking more money. So
So, if someone wanted to learn something here, where would you go if the libraries and books are all gone?
how much money do you have?
Not a lot.
Because that's the
He
only
said
way.
he says like not confidently because he doesn't know if the money he has is a lot.
starts counting on his fingers.
Um, you see, he kind of waits a second, and he's just like, you know, the only way you can really learn here is if you're wealthy and you can afford to pay someone to teach you.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate, really.
It's like go out with a bang.
Jarek looks a little depressed. Not that he really knew what education was, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it a point in life to teach him how to read.
Ooh.
Jarek can read. He's not illiterate.
I am going to be the Michelle Pfeiffer to your dangerous mind is what it is.
To
Your
dangerous mind.
Jarek doesn't know what. Jarek's confused.
I guess we shall start meandering over to the other place,
Okay.
unless anyone has anything else to ask.
no.
Mm-mm.
All right. So you head on over to the Black Narcissus Inn. As you walk in, you see that there are no windows in here, at least on the tavern floor, but in every booth there's a mirror. And there's a fire pit. More so the way this place is set up, it looks not what you expect from the outside. So you go in, and the outside looks like the typical square rectangular facade of a building, and as you walk inside it's more of a circle. In the middle of the circle there is a big fire pit. On top of this fire pit there is meats roasting on a spit. It produces most of the light that fills this space. You see that the smoke kind of goes up to the ceiling, but then as it would spread out throughout the room, it just kind of fades into nothing. The room's not full of smoke. It's not hard to breathe. And there are booths lining the walls in curved formation from the door all the way to the opposite end of this first floor, and that's where the bar is set. And there's also a big ledger sitting on that as well. And you see there is a door off to the side between two booths. There's a gap between the booths every couple booths. There is a gap. More so, it's for like trash cans and stuff. But there are a couple doors, and you see one person come out of the door, and it looks like that's a stairwell to go upstairs. And you see on one of the other doors it says employees only. You can just put two and two together. That's probably storage or something related to the business in here. And this place is fairly empty. It is odd that there are so many reflective surfaces in here. And Jarek, I don't know if you've ever actually, other than the water, I don't know if you've ever actually seen mirrors.
Nope.
Well, now you're in this place, and everywhere you look, you see a reflection of yourself, and now there is like a dozen of you surrounding this room. How does that make Jarek feel?
We're gonna go with, I think, a wisdom check. Wisdom or intelligence?
Whichever one you feel.
Surely intelligence.
Yeah, I kind of feel like intelligence.
It's your feelings. You tell me how you
Yeah,
feel.
I feel like,
Because intelligence is like, you know what this is.
yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. Jarek doesn't, and then we're gonna go with the wisdom. Okay, Jarek doesn't know what it is, but by golly, it doesn't disturb him as much as it should.
Fair.
He's just like awkwardly, like he's constantly looking around, and I imagine that because of how some of the mirrors are laid out, he's seeing like reflections of reflections. So he's not even making eye contact with this other person that's almost like mimicking or mocking his movements. And so he is probably just chalking this up to some sort of like illusionary magic that he just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Is Jarek noticing like the rest of us? Because you know what we look like.
Exactly. That's sort of like his clue that this is not dangerous potentially, but
Mm-hmm.
but he's basically treating it like a mime would. Like he's like doing like hand poses and like moving around to see if they can perfectly mimic his moves.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it very much mimics your moves in the vein of a mirror. And you see tending bar working on some paperwork in a ledger kind of across the way. Through it, the light white gray smoke of this fire, which is pretty large. It's about 5 feet across. It's not like it's super small. It's big enough to obviously cook meats and things on. The room in here smells delicious. A combination of cooked meats, different things that are roasting. It's got incense burning in different corners. But you see across the way, working with some glasses, a pinstripe suit with suspenders on and his sleeves rolled up. You see a very small, or very tall for himself, gnome at 4 foot tall. He's pretty round. You see that while he does have suspenders and a pinstripe suit on, he isn't just a fan of the one button to expose the top of the chest. He's a 3-buttoner.
Oh,
Everything above the stomach is exposed, and it seems to be for good reason, because he has a big scar across his chest, and he seems to wear a glove just on the right hand. Right. He's got a glove on his right hand, that scar across his chest. He has a very long auburn mohawk with black eyes and silky gray skin. You also see that
Mohawk has black eyes.
he has a long auburn mohawk and himself has black eyes.
Oh, I see. Yes.
And he has silky gray skin. And you see on the wall behind him, there is a little shelf with a statue of Selûne, the goddess of the moon, stars, back there. And he's just focusing on what he's doing and notices you come in. He kind of looks up at you guys for a second and just expects you to come to him. So. What would you like to do?
Jarek is off like at the closest mirror, like as close as he can to it.
Okay.
I put a flower crown on him.
This is the first time you're able to put a flower crown on him because he's completely distracted. It thinks he's ducking out of the way because he sees your reflection coming up behind him, not realizing that that's not the real you. Like he goes to, like, smack it away from you, but because it's the reflection, he like smacks the mirror a little bit, and then you put the crown on his head.
And I snicker and I walk away, and
You see him like almost trying to grab the crown off of his reflection.
God. I walk up to the man and I ask, how much is...
You're asking for rooms. You broke up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also say, what you call it, Egos sent us here.
Ego. All right. Well, hmm, he's not doing me any favors sending weird people here, but he did send you here, so I guess you can have a discount of 2%. Um,
You're very generous.
I know that's what I tell people, but they don't believe me. Anyway, is it all of you? One room, four rooms, two rooms, 3.5 rooms? How you doing?
What's your rate per room?
It is 1 silver per room.
I believe 4 rooms will do.
Okay.
No.
Hmm.
If you want to stay with me, Ick, you can.
Thank you.
So 4 rooms, 3 rooms,
3.
3. All right. He.
Well,
Hmm?
Jarek, Bunky,
I think I already have one, and you see him pointing at himself in the mirror.
Has your
I
friend never
suppose
seen
2.
mirrors before?
You know
No,
what? He has not.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that is the charm of this place. Yeah, well,
I turn and look at him. How do they get out?
hmm.
Do I give him an aneurysm? Do I?
She's like, you know what? Just fucking leave.
Um,
3 silver.
They don't. They expect you to stare at them longingly, though, until you have nothing left to give. That is, that is the curse of the beautiful. And he grabs a hat from the side and flips it off his arms and sits it on his head and just bows like he himself is the most attractive man in the world. He is
Wow.
very clearly not. He is a short, round man. He has a very attractive face, but he basically looks like a coconut with a hot face. Think George Clooney
Listen.
younger, but as a coconut. That's
Listen.
what this man looks like. Hmm.
Don't body shame. Some of us like the
He's
round.
he's proud of himself. I'm not shaming him. He's proud of himself.
Some of us only have the coconut, Alex. Okay.
But anyway, it's two silver, I guess.
I'll pass it.
Ick is gonna trot over
All right.
to Jarek and say, "Remember what I told you about what a mirror is?
Is that what these
That's
are?
a mirror. Yeah, that's how you see what you look like."
Are you going to be getting dinner tonight or just the rooms?
Yeah, I assume we will eat. Yes.
Okay, well, here is what we offer. So, that's the menu for today. So, if you wish to place your order now, it can be ready at whatever time you want, or come down later.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a look. And
Hmm.
again, I actually start taking the menu and I read it to Ick like a bedtime story. Like, once upon a time, there was a sheep, and there was a baby lamb,
Huh?
and the baby lamb
It was
uh,
delicious.
met up with a cow, and the cow gave away some of its delicious milk. Yeah. So I basically am explaining the, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
As-
she can read. I know she can read, but like, or they can read, but like, you know, like I'm very much turning this into a thing.
Do
Ick is
I
totally
see
enjoying this.
anything with mushrooms on the list?
You do not. Well, there's vegetable stew, so there might be mushrooms in there, but you don't know because you don't see it. Doesn't say mushroom stew.
Do you have anything with mushrooms? Because our friend here, and I point to Rel, loves mushrooms.
Oh,
Oh.
they're amazing. Yeah.
She danced about it at.
Wait, do you love mushrooms or do you love mushrooms?
The mushrooms could be later. Wink, wink. But you know, for now, I just like the regular ones.
All right. Well, the vegetable stew has mushrooms.
What exactly is the meatiest option?
Prob. So the meatiest option is the stew turnip with a
Oh,
mug of
oh,
mead, but the meatiest option is the one with mutton. See what I did there?
It was
yes.
good.
Yes.
I would do the roasted mutton.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So roasted mutton, whey cheese, and a tankard of perry for you. Vegetable stew and a mug of cider for you. How about the two of you? What are you having for dinner?
Perhaps later.
I
Oh, but
don't.
this is for
Okay.
later. We're ordering now for later
Well,
because time can be weird like that.
I'm gonna get the turnip.
oh, okay. Stew turnip and a mug of mead. All right. You can tell me later if you wish, sir. Otherwise, I'll see you at
How
5 hours
many
from now for
eggs
dinner.
can I have at one time?
Well, it comes with 8.
Oh, okay. Can I have just the eggs?
You don't want the lentils?
No beans.
They lean in really close. What do you got wrong with beans?
Beans are icky.
If you say that again, I'll throw you out of this place and keep your money. Beans are delicious, they're nutritious, they're a normal source of fiber, and keep everything normal in this godforsaken city.
On hearing him threaten to throw Ick, I don't say anything. I just like stand a little closer to her.
I tell Ick about the magical wind that comes out of your butt when you eat beans.
Yes, I am well aware. They are. It puts her own hands over her mouth.
And technically, lentils aren't even beans, they're part of the legume family. And if you don't like beans, I don't know if I can trust you. And this man starts looking around like he's being watched by somebody.
And ask you to?
Mm.
What do you need to trust me about?
I'll eat her beans. Don't worry about it.
All right, great, thank you. All right, well,
And just water.
I can do that's fine. All right, well, dinner will be in about 5 to 6 hours, so we'll see you then. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. And they write down your
Would you
orders.
throw me out for not liking beans?
Looks up and their eyes get real peeled. And they turn around and turn their back to you.
Insight check.
Go for it. This man really likes beans. For some reason, he really likes beans. He's very
But will he
passionate.
sing about them?
He's very passionate about beans.
Got across fucking lines.
But yeah, you have he gives you the keys to your rooms. So you have 2 rooms. He tells you take that door that you saw open with some stairs down there earlier, and go up there, and it's the first 2 rooms on the left, rooms number 1 and room number 2, and you have the keys for them. So
Jarek.
Yeah,
Jarek. Hey,
is Jarek
Jarek.
following us?
Jarek.
Yeah,
Hey, Jarek. Jarek.
yes, Ick.
Are we going up the stairs? Have we gotten Jarek away from the mirror?
Oh, Jarek stepped away for the second he heard someone threaten you.
Oh, okay, right. So we're going up the stairs. Hey, Jarek.
Yes.
If I told that man my name, do you think he would throw me out for telling him my name?
I don't think so, but he does seem dumb enough that he might try.
Should we do it? That might be funny.
Maybe when we're leaving.
Okay.
Still trying to handle a child.
But yeah, you guys have the afternoon to do anything that you would like. Explore more town, wait around till dinner time? What's your plan?
I want to walk around the town,
Okay.
definitely, and investigate and see if this whole kind of network of people is really a network of people, and also try to see what kind of stores and stuff, and
Are you staying in Low Grove or are you maneuvering to different portions of the city? Because the city's not super small. I mean, you could probably walk the whole thing in a day. The scale at the bottom there is not accurate. Um, but you could, it's probably mile and a half across, so in diameter, pretty much all the way around. So, I mean, you could walk the whole city in a day if you really wanted to. It would be a long day. uh,
I I'm
yeah.
I'm gonna take it as a slow.
Okay.
So I'll stay in Low Grove for today, and then
Okay.
tomorrow maybe go to the.
All right. Yeah. All right. So you're gonna walk around Low Grove, doing some investigating and perceiving. Go ahead and roll me a perception check as you're walking around the old Low Grove, and then is anybody joining Rel and Low Grove, or you guys all doing your own thing?
I believe I will join.
Okay. You can go ahead and roll me a perception check as well. Oh. All right. You two are walking around Low Grove. Ick and Jarek, what are you guys doing? We'll get to you guys here in one sec with your rolls. What are?
Jarek would probably go out, but on his own,
Okay.
just because he's never really seen a city like this or a town of this size before, and there's just a lot of new things, and he doesn't want to slow people down because he's going to be a bit more wandering, meandering. But he would first spend a little bit of time in his room, um, in a rage, trying to see if the voices have anything else they want to say.
All right. Right now, there you are not getting anything from the voices in
Okay.
your rage. They're oddly more silent than they've ever been. The silence is deafening almost. So,
And that concerns me.
Ick, what are you doing amongst all of this?
You can come with me if you want, and you can ride
Well,
piggyback on me, or if you want to do your own thing, that's totally fine.
I wanna knock on Jarek's door. Jarek? Hey, Jarek. Jarek? Hey, Jarek.
I
Bang, bang, bang,
imagine that
bang,
that part of this takes place like while he's in this like almost meditative state,
bang. Mm-hmm.
and he probably tunes you out since he's like really focusing on not focusing on the world.
Well, then Ick will go back to Rel and say, well, I think Jarek left already
Okay.
without saying bye to me. Um, which I mean, he can do that, and I will go with you, and I like going with you, but I just wanted to know he was doing, but I guess he went. Can we go to the graveyard pretty soon?
Go if you want, or if we'll walk around, and when we come across it, we can go there. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not. I just thought maybe I could talk to some people and see if we can find out more.
That's absolutely okay. We can do whatever you want to, and I will make sure that we'll get to we'll walk around town, and when we come across it, we'll go there.
Okay.
All right. You can roll me a perception check since you're with them too, if you would like. You guys are rolling high in the weirdest places tonight, so and just average everywhere else. So for the better part of the next few hours and afternoon, as you're walking around, you do pass different pockets of markets and shops and things like that. So if there's any particular shops that you want to um, take a visit to, we can certainly get to that. Otherwise, as you're just kind of exploring and walking around, you look down the alleys. You don't see any more of the folks that you saw earlier today. People still aren't looking down them. They're still focusing on directly who's in front of them. Whenever anybody goes to like stop to talk to somebody in the street, it's like instead of tapping them on the shoulder and then turning their head, they kind of tap their shoulders and kind of line their bodies up to be in directly across from each other. And it's like their whole body moves as a unit rather than their upper body and their head and neck and legs all moving independently of each other as people
It's
normally do.
almost like robots.
It kind of seems very robotic
Just
in
like
that way.
very mechanical.
Yeah,
It's
but
kind of
that's
awkward.
when they're walking and just doing normal things that don't involve communicating to anybody else, they're just walking like normal. They're grabbing things, pushing things. They're moving like a normal person. But whenever they're having conversations, their body becomes almost more robotic in how they're carrying themselves and how they're communicating. This seems to be the norm. You see this everywhere, all over Low Grove, everywhere that you walk to. Is there any stores or anything that you wish to attend to prior to making your way up to Deuces Hill and the graveyard area?
Yeah, I would be looking for a blacksmith or some kind of weaponry store.
You can definitely very easily find that. Are you looking to sell something? Are you looking to buy something? What you think?
Just sell these short swords, so I'm not carrying them around.
Yeah. You find just a smaller blacksmith shop. It's run by an older human, almost 60. Long, wavy, dyed black hair and brown eyes, soft, dirty brown skin, very short at about 5 foot, 5'1". He's very clumsy. You see, every time he's like going to grab something, he almost drops it, and it's kind of counter to his products that he has for sale that all look like they were made with the stillest of hands and the most specific intention. Um, but he goes, "Hey, I'm Justice. I'm the owner and operator here in the blacksmith extraordinaire. You looking to buy or you looking to sell?"
I'm looking to sell, and I would place the two short swords on the counter in front of him.
All right. Well, these have definitely seen better days. That's for sure. Um, hmm. And he kind of holds them up. He looks at them for a minute. How much were you thinking you wanted to get for him?
Hello?
Is that
Oh,
me?
you
Oh,
cut out.
oh, oh. Yeah, these things have definitely seen better days. How much are you looking to get for him? What you thinking?
Well, they did get me through many years of training and
Mm.
adventuring. I would think 6 apiece is still fair and would leave you some room.
Yeah. You know, that's reasonable. They're not in the worst shape. It looks like you've been taking pretty decent care of them for however long you've had them for. Hmm. How about this? How about, you know what? Yeah, I can do 6. I'm doing okay for myself today. So I'll buy both of them, 6 apiece. Here's 12. I'll touch them up a little bit and probably be able to get 8 or 9 out of them. Hell, maybe I'll take him over to the magician and get him enchanted and make a whole bunch more. Um, Anything else I can do for you?
Are any of the weapons like particularly shiny or ornamented or
There is nothing shiny or ornamented as in like what a super wealthy person would wield, but there does seem to be up on a top shelf, kind of on a holder, there seems to be an especially silverine looking longsword.
does it have like engravings or anything like that?
Not anything in particular. The hilt looks a little bit nicer, like it's been polished up pretty well, and it's more of the edge of the longsword that looks to be like it's almost been edged and dipped in silver.
Ooh,
So
cool.
it is a silvered longsword. So
I think Ick is definitely riding on Rel's shoulders, and Ick just points at that and says, "Ooh, that one looks so sharp. Did you make that? Did you make all of this?"
oh yeah, these are all Drake specials. Me, Justice Drake. These are all my specials. Uh, when you use a Drake, justice comes swift. See what I did there? I used my name in my slow. It hasn't caught on. It's been 30 years. It still hasn't caught on, but I'm hoping one day it will.
It's really good.
Oh, thanks.
Um, I look to see if he has any little mini pocket mirrors I can buy.
He does not.
Okay.
Do you
So
ask him for
maybe a
them, or you're just
shiny
looking to see
dagger?
what he says? He does.
I was looking, and I'll ask him, like, because you figure
Yeah.
it's made of metal,
Yeah.
so highly polished metal. So
Oh. No, I don't. I don't typically carry things that are easily breakable, glass, mirrors, things like
okay.
that, because
Mhm.
that's. I don't want to break glass and step on it. That's an infection I don't need.
Mhm.
But if you can find any normal general goods store or specialty merchant, they'll probably have them. So
Okay. What about or does he have any really like highly polished pieces of like just round metal that one can see one's reflection in? It doesn't have to be glass.
I'll roll a D100 and we'll say if it's over 50, then yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
66. Yeah, I mean, I got this. And he pulls out this hunk of silver size of, about the size of a teacup plate, like the one you would set a teacup on, a little saucer. And it's about as flat as a quarter in its thickness. So it's not super thick. It's just a little bigger, but it looks like it's been shined for years. This is my anxiety plate. This is what I shine when I am feeling anxious or I just get bored and want to
Oh,
fidget something.
I'd say
mood.
it's just fidget plate.
Yeah.
Mood.
I mean, if you want to sell it, I suppose I can part with it for like 8 silver, because with 8 silver I can just make another one.
Yeah,
But
I'll do that. I'll
okay,
do that.
so you have an anxiety fidget shiny silver plate.
Okay, perfect.
Mr.
uh,
Drake,
Yeah.
what infection do you need?
None. I don't want any infection.
Oh,
Unless,
okay.
hold on. Unless it's the infection of love. Every person I've tried to love, it's like every other month there's a new man, a new woman. It doesn't matter, but they don't love me back.
I'm really sad to hear that. You seem really nice.
Well, and you see he's wearing a wedding ring.
Oh, I don't think Ick would know what that is.
The other two of you would.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
just be like, I don't believe I ever asked this. Are the two swords I have? Do I remember those to be um, Eden's personal swords, or have I ever
Yes.
seen these before?
They Based on how they were gifted to you, you believe they were his personal swords. These aren't ones that you have seen, so these are likely ones that he had before he met you because you got them
Mm-hmm.
in the location that you got them. But based on how you got them, they were under his ownership. So they were his,
Gotcha.
but you never saw them until you were gifted them. So,
Okay. Makes sense.
anything else I can help you folks with?
That is it.
I don't
All
believe
right.
so.
Well, you have yourself a wonderful day. Bye. And then he just goes back and just dumps all the silver into a big cast iron bowl and sits it right in the forge. And you start to hear the bubbling of silver as it starts to melt. Uh, you guys heading over to Deuces Hill for cemetery time?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right. So, as you guys head over to Deuces Hill to investigate the cemetery, see what's going on over there. we'll go ahead and call it here, and we'll pick up with you guys arriving at Deuces Hill next time and figure out what Jarek's doing and continue our day in Eldoria.
Nice Halloween.